Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be reacting to the latest dropped audio. It comes from Annielytics, that's Annie Cushing. That's Joe Ryan's sister, guys. She dropped a really explosive audio that's allegedly of LORI VALLOW, now LORI VALLOW DAYBELL, testifying in a group with Melanie Gibb, allegedly, and others of the 144,000. It's quite interesting. I'm going to play certain snippets of it and I'm going to react to it and give you even my paralegal opinion of it, how it could be played, if ever, in a court of law, and also just give you a visceral reaction to it. Caveat, if you want to listen to this whole video, please go down to the link below. I'm going to link it. I'm going to put it in my comment section and pin it. That's Annie's video, and I also believe she's on Facebook with it or something. I'm not sure because I'm not a member of any of these groups. I wish I was. I need to get on that. All right, so without further ado, let's get into it. This audio that I'm going to play portions of was allegedly taped by Melanie Gibb, and it is LORI testifying in front of a group, and at about the 2 minute, almost 3 minute mark, she's already been warmed up by, I guess it's Melanie Gibb, and she's proceeding to give her testimony. So let's listen.
I was sent to her, I prayed for her, and who the Father wanted me to go to LORI. Yeah, so beautiful. Good crowd. Yeah, good crowd. Yeah, it's just a good.
They note that they have a good crowd. Usually good means large, but I think they meant filled with good people, but there was a crowd. 2 people is not a crowd. 3 people is not a crowd. So no, there's a number of people there, and my question then is, why didn't anybody say anything during her testimony? Why didn't anybody question her on some issues, and why didn't anybody maybe do something after hearing what she said? Let's continue.
Energy, and I appreciate that. But I'll just start by saying that I am a personal witness of the resurrected Jesus Christ. I am his advocate and I am his friend. He is with me. I know him, and it was a hard road to get to know him. It's not an easy road, but it's everything that I chose in the premortal life that I sat down with him, and we discussed what I would have to do to get to this point. I knew everything I was going to do, and everybody agreed, and I made covenants with all of these people that they would play these parts in my life so that I could be here.
Okay, there's lots to unpack there. I'm a personal witness of the resurrected Jesus Christ. Everything I chose in a primordial life, I sat down with him, and what I'd have to do to get to this point, and essentially all these people would be playing a part in my life. All right, let's unpack it. So in this video, I want to break it down, and I want to say, I am not going to be beating up anybody's religion. I'm a fan of comparative religion. I'm not a fan of organized religion. That's my personal choice. That's my opinion. But I'm not going to attack this on the merits of religion. 1, she says she's met resurrected Jesus. She says this literally. Okay, she's not talking about like had a feeling or anything. So 1, is this a delusion or is this religion? 2, she believes in reincarnation, which is fine. You know, I have no issues with that. But the people that say that she doesn't, that's not true, because she talks about choosing things in a primordial life, that almost sitting out and choosing different things. So she's talking essentially about reincarnation. 3, and that this is the part that clinches it for me, is the people are playing parts in her life. Okay, guys, in my non-doctoral opinion, this is a narcissist. This statement is a narcissistic statement. All right, I'm not saying she's a narcissist. I think she's a narcissist, but this statement is a narcissistic statement, implying that everybody around you and everything around you and all the actions around you are there just for you. You're the center of the universe. Classic narcissistic statement. Let's move on to where she talks about her visitations from the angels.
Like that on this earth, it is life-changing and eternity-altering. I love my Savior with my whole heart. some wonderful experiences. I have been ministered to by the angel Moroni. I have seen him.
Let's stop there. I've been ministered to by the angel Moroni. I have seen him. Again, is it religion or is it delusion? Are we talking about schizophrenia here? That's number one. Two, she's special. She's letting this group of small believers that are already seemingly offshoots of LDS or just straight up LDS, that she's special. Not only do you guys believe in the angel Moroni, I've been ministered to by the angel Moroni. She's special, guys. All right, let's continue.
I have had lots of angelic ministry with people who wake me up at 4 o'clock in the morning and tell me things to do. I no longer need to sleep very much because I'm woken up constantly by angels and giving me instructions on things that I can do to help further the Father's work.
Okay, right there. 4 minutes in, 4 minutes 36 seconds, give or take. She's no longer needing much sleep. She probably doesn't need to eat as much. And she is woken up and angels are giving her instructions according to her own words. Again, is this delusion? Is this religion? Is this schizophrenia? What is going on here? Something is going on. If this is true, and this isn't just her fabricating or being an unreliable historian, if this is true, this is concerning. So then she's going to go on to talk about being married to someone. This someone is Joe. You can deduce it by the facts of the case. So let's go on.
I don't know if you want me to tell the story or you don't want me to tell the story.
Oh, tell the story, please.
You do want to?
Your story's pretty maybe.
Anyways, now, it's been a long journey. There was a point in my life, there's a changing point in your life, right? You're a member of the church your whole life. I always loved the Lord. There's a turning point in my life that turned me to the temple. And this is what I teach everybody. And my change of heart was to the temple. So I had been married to someone who was very awful, who raped my children. And I had divorced him and gotten away from him. And he had joined the church. He spoke in state conference. Everyone thought he was wonderful. He was very good showman of all those things. And after we were divorced, he told everybody that I was this lying, crazy Mormon and got up in court and said all these horrible things about me and turned it around to where the judges believed him instead of me. And he was constantly trying to get custody of my 3-year-old daughter and just to rub it in my face. And
Okay, let's unpack that. She's been married to someone, Joe, who allegedly did illegal things to her children. YouTube's so silly with the words we're not supposed to say. So she divorces him, and everyone thinks Joe is wonderful because he's a good showman. And after we divorced, he said she was a lying, crazy Mormon. Okay, she's telling on herself here. Number one, she's telling on herself. She's telling the group that the people believed Joe over her. And moreover, number two, that the court believed Joe over her. The court heard both sides, heard Joe's side, heard her side, and they believed Joe. What does that tell you guys? She's telling on herself here. But, the courtroom's evil. She goes on to talk about how the courtroom's evil. So, and the third issue to unpack here is, she talks about how Joe only did these things to rub it in her face. So let's think about this. If you have someone who is doing horrible things to your children, do you think that person's doing it to rub it in your face? No, they're doing it because they're sick. Okay. She talks about him moving closer to get, to easily have his custody of his child that the court had essentially deemed that he had not harmed or that he was safe to be around, and that he only did that to rub it in her face. Again, that's classic narcissism. Everyone's out to get me. I'm the victim. If they had found against Joe and ruled in her favor, the court would have been fine. But since they found seemingly were leaning towards Joe, the court's now evil. She's going to talk about how she's this essentially eternal victim, that she's gone through all this hard stuff. And I gotta say to that is, what about the children? Where, in this point, does she talk about how her child felt? How her child had come to her and said she felt a certain way, or that Colby came and said he was in pain and felt a certain way, and that she was terrified for her children. No, she just talks about her perspective, which I find is very narcissistic.
I went through a lot of years of this kind of hard stuff, and I was going to murder him. I was going to kill him, like the scriptures say, like Nephi killed it, just to stop the pain and to stop him coming after me and to stop him coming after my children. And I just felt I couldn't take it anymore. And I would go through the scriptures and find all the things, like, if he comes against you once, if he comes against you twice, if he comes against you 3 times, then you can kill him. It says it in the scriptures. And I was like, there it is. There's my answer. I don't want to do anything that's wrong. I did not have a murderous heart.
They're laughing at this. She is sitting there saying that she wanted to kill her ex-husband. And they find this funny? Are you kidding me? So let's unpack this. I was going to murder him. I was going to kill him. Like the scriptures say, ... I would go through the scriptures. What? Looking for validation and excuses for your murderous thoughts? If he comes, against you once, twice, 3 times, then you can kill him. It says it in the scriptures. No, it does not. No, it doesn't. Melanie laughs at this, by the way. You can hear her very clearly. This is in my opinion. Lori follows this out with, I did not have a murderous heart. I just wanted to stop the pain. What in the world about this was funny, guys? And the justifications, you're feeling a sort of way about your ex. She doesn't say, I was dropping my child off knowing he was doing X, Y, Z, and I fell for her and I just wanted to kill him. The way she says this, it gives you pause. It gives you a real hard pause about Joe's death, does it not? Does it not give you a hard break pause? And here I want to interject. You might say, well, how would this ever be relevant evidence? Okay. How would it ever be relevant evidence? If they did another autopsy on Joe, and if they found that it maybe was a homicide, maybe it looks suspicious, and then if you're looking for who could maybe hurt Joe, if maybe they ever open a murder case, an investigation, you have someone sitting here say, I was gonna murder him, I was gonna kill him. I even looked through the good book to see where I could find a justification for it. That could come in as evidence, couldn't it? Sure could. Also, you might say, well, Thielen, let's talk about Tylee and JJ. How can this affect the trial now? Let me tell you how. Let me drop this little crumb down. Not for the charges of the body disposal and burial. Not for those charges. But for the charges, if there ever comes out to be murder charges against Tylee and JJ, or anybody, even any of the others, Charles, and if they were ever silly enough as to try to have character witnesses for Lori, like let's say they put on a full defense about how she's a great person and put up character witnesses, this could come in as character evidence the state would use to counter, to show bad character. That's how this could get in, to show bad character, to show an interest in engaging in this behavior when you get to this level of frustration. Just saying. Let's go about 7 minutes into this little testimony. Test-a-lying. This one really also shook me. I watched this on the live with Annie, by the way, and I think I was typing, OMG, where did you get this? What is this? Am I hearing what I think I'm hearing? It was crazy to me, this whole thing. This one also took the cake.
You need to go to the temple. So I went and met my bishop, and I was like, I'm either going to turn my life to the temple or I'm going to commit murder. So do you want to give me a temple recommend? And I was perfectly honest, because at that point I had nothing to lose. You get to the bottom rung and
Are you kidding me? Let me tell you what you just heard. I'm either going to turn my life to the temple or I'm going to commit murder. I was perfectly honest because I had nothing to lose. What? She went to a bishop because she didn't have a temple recommend. And she's saying here that she said to him, here's the situation. If I don't get a temple recommend, I'm going to commit murder. And they gave her a damn temple recommend. That's what she says. And she even says, I was perfectly honest. What? Who is this bishop that did not act? And you might say, Theolyn, they can't report because they've got the priest pendant or whatever confidentiality. Oh, baloney. That applies to things that already happened. Okay, let's talk about lawyers. Let's talk about doctors maybe, or like psychiatrists, or your clergy. These kind of categories, that applies to things you already did. I killed my husband and I buried him under the porch. I feel so sorry about it, Father. He can't do anything about it because you already did it. Your attorney. Yeah, I did kill him. Can you get me off on manslaughter? The attorney can't do anything, can't say anything about it, all right? It's got a privilege because it already happened. But if you have an intent, you go to your psychiatrist and say, you know what? I think I'm going to kill him tomorrow. If he does it again, I'm going to kill him. I think I might kill him tomorrow. They have a duty to report that to the authorities. So do the priests. I'm going to kill him tomorrow, Father. You have to report that. It didn't already happen. So after the fact crimes, the clergy, the privilege sticks. Okay, you don't have a legal requirement to report it because they don't, unless they have an intent to keep doing it. But if you don't give me a temple recommend, I'm going to kill. That doesn't get around it. In my opinion, that had a legal duty to report, and someone said shit should sit down. I'm gonna keep that blip in there. Keep that error in there. Someone should sit down with that little bishop and have a little come to Jesus. Because you needed to warn on that. Because what an if statement is a qualifying statement. Let me give you an example. Let's say someone has 2 bad legs and they're in a wheelchair and they said, if I didn't have these 2 bad legs, I'd kick your ass. And then the other person couldn't say they really truly feel in fear because you truly have 2 bad legs. You cannot do the act. I'll give you another example from my family. One family member was ticked off at another family member and decided to go all country and call them down and say, if I lived in Florida, I'd come over to your house and kick your ass. Well, they don't live in Florida. So it was a qualifying statement. Nothing could be done about it. Nothing was done. They erased the message and that you moved on with life. You know what I'm saying? But if in this case is if the bishop didn't give the temple recommend, that puts pressure on the bishop. But anyway, in my mind, you needed to warn. You needed to call the authorities and say, look, I have someone that's, on the brink and they're talking about killing. And they said if I didn't give them the temple recommend, I think they need to be talked to. What's so difficult? That's your job, is to watch out for your flock. Then she goes to almost live at the temple. She's talking about how she's in the temple all the time because, Satan's torturing her entire life. She's the eternal victim, essentially. She goes on to talk about 8 minutes in about what she had going on in her life. Listen to this.
We were in therapy all the time, and the kids were in therapy and doing all this stuff. So I had five kids that I was dealing with. And the Lord just taught me. He just taught me.
Okay, did you catch that? This is really telling. I had 5 kids that I was dealing with. This is distancing language. This is dealing with implies that they're a burden to you. How do you take the word dealing with, the verbs? Dealing with, you're dealing with something. It's a burden. It's a burden to you. It's distancing. When you care for someone and you're overwhelmed, you say, I've got 5 kids that I'm caring for. I got 5 kids that I love and I've just got to take care of them. That's what you say. Dealing with implies that they're a burden to you. And you'll also, this isn't the first time or only time she'll say dealing with. Let's listen. I'm going to see who else is a burden to her.
Week by week, he was just teaching me, and he was just so patient and so kind. I would just be in there just sobbing. I would just be in there in the celestial room sobbing. And people would come up to me all the time and be like, "Sister, are you okay?" And I'd be like, "No, I'm not okay." And I'd just keep crying because I didn't want to tell anybody what was going on. I was just having my own pain. And I felt like, so the court told me that if I didn't take my daughter to him and drop her off with him as a 5-year-old every weekend or every other weekend or whatever the schedule was, that they would put me in jail. So I had to go take her to this monster, my little sweet little baby girl, and drop her off. And then I would go to the temple and I would cry, and I felt like someone was just stabbing me in the stomach with a knife all the time. I felt physical pain. I felt so much physical pain and emotional pain and mental pain. And in the meantime, I was dealing with a husband and 2 stepkids and my 2 kids.
Did you catch that? Dealing with a husband. Dealing with a husband, guys. Dealing with. They're burdens to her. She's distancing herself from him. At this point in the narrative, in this story, this testimony, Joe's been dead for 6 months. Charles is alive. Tammy's alive. JJ's alive. Tylee's alive. And this is her mindset. This is what she's testifying to, guys. Keep that in mind. She never talks about her children's perspective. She doesn't talk about her husband's perspective. She only talks about her perspective as a victim. Then she goes on to talk about doing the family history. Again, no shade to the Mormons, but it seems like that I'm paraphrasing this, I really don't 100% know, but they take people who have not been baptized and that have passed on, and they take those names, and allegedly you can take them into the temple and baptize the person into the LDS faith. I guess this is a thing with some folks, and so this is what she's doing to pass her time. And she's frustrated because she needs the names of maybe family members on her side and Charles's side and anybody, I guess, that I guess she didn't think were baptized in LDS while they were alive in this realm. So she's getting names and taking them to the temple for this magical baptism.
I don't know how to do it, and I don't like the computers. And I went up, I turned it on, I was super frustrated, I couldn't even log in, I was having all kinds of problems. I went upstairs to take a bath, I came back down, 9 names were in my inbox, ready to print, ready to take to the temple. Took them to the temple, did that work. All those people came and visited me at the temple. I felt every one of their spirits. 9 people with the last name White, they were my husband's family from Louisiana. They typed their names in.
Okay, guys, this is nonsense. Now, the people are, what have they heard? They've heard that she's, chosen by Moroni. She's a personal witness with Moroni. She's getting angelic visitations. Now, she's getting angelic, angels are not helping her to learn how to use her computer. They're helping her by just giving her names in in her email box, and then she's taking them, dragging them off to the temple to do these magical things. And she's crying in the temple, and she's seeing things in the temple when she's putting these names in for their baptisms. These people are coming and thanking her, and she even says essentially, "Are you seeing that?" Like, other people I don't think are seeing what she's seeing. This is almost schizophrenic. Schizophrenic is when you say things that aren't there, you hear things that aren't there, you can taste things that aren't in your mouth, you can smell things that aren't there. This is almost smacking of schizophrenia at this point, in my opinion. These names are miraculously appearing in her email box, up to 1,000 names she's taken to the temple according to her history, so that she could, have these people baptized. And people are laughing and ho-hoing it up. No one stops and tries to query her on any of this fantastical behavior. Okay, so this is a part where she's talking about having to deal with the legal system.
Rooms. And I spent so much time in there that he washed all of that away from me.
She's talking about spending times in dark courtrooms. I just want to say, wait until 2020 and 2021, girl. You're going to be living in them dark, evil courtrooms. The court cases had not gone her way, so therefore it's evil. Just like anything with a narcissist. If you cross them, and this is my opinion, I think she's a narcissist. If you cross them, if you do anything against them, you become evil, you become the bad guy. and they will do anything to win. Children will become pawns. Husbands will become pawns. It doesn't matter how long-term the relationships are. They're going to win. They want to be seen as special. They want to be seen as all-knowing. You cannot cross them. You cannot correct them. They're perfect people. And anything that shows a flaw is destroyed. And people are used like vampires. Like they're just like a feed. I don't mean to go off on narcissism, but that's what I hear when I hear her going on and on and on. Let's skip up to the 13-minute mark. She's talking about how she was led to believe that they needed to go and live in Kauai, Hawaii. And so she moves to Hawaii on a whim, and she's looking for these confirmations because she's not sure she should do it.
So we were in Kauai for 3 years. I thought we were going there forever. I loved it there. We were in this tiny little branch. I served as a primary president. I loved those children. We had so much fun doing that. And then I was at the Light Temple, which I would take people, reconvert them. They're like, you're the primary president, but we don't have anybody for you for counselors. So you have to either reactivate people or baptize people. So I reactivated 2 sisters, went with them to the Light Temple, flew them over because you have to fly from Kauai to Oahu to go to the temple, got them their endowments, helped them through the whole temple process because that is where the Lord is, for he walks those very halls. He is there. And I said, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is the gateway to get you to the temple so that the Lord can teach you himself. He doesn't need anybody else to teach you. He teaches you. As you take out your time, which is the very first...
Okay, here, it's like 14 minutes in. She's riffing on this whole thing about the Lord being in the temple and he teaches you. And the LDS is just a gateway to the temple. Here, listen to this. LDS is just a gateway to the temple. And then once you're in the temple, you're at one with the Lord. He's walking around and he can give you the teachings. So LDS isn't the end game. Getting at one with the Lord is the end game, and she's in there and she's got his ear. So in other words, now she's the intercessor. You following me? I know it's elite, but that's what she's saying. LDS, she says it. LDS is the gateway to the temple. Once you get in the temple, the Lord's in there walking around. So then you have one-on-one. So anyone can go in there and get revelation and come out and speak to it. What if what you're doing in the temple is just a schizophrenic, narcissistic type experience and isn't truth, and you're coming out and then teaching? See, she says at one point he teaches you, but then she's teaching, and allegedly Chad is teaching. Again, why do you need this intercessor? Oh, I also skipped over a part. It's very important to me. I don't know how I skipped over it. She's talking, I'll just go ahead and paraphrase it. She's talking about how the Lord showed her of putting people in her life. I'm paraphrasing this. That, I had to marry this husband to adopt this child. And what she's talking about there is Charles, because the only child that got adopted by her in this case was JJ. So the Lord was showing her, and she's talking about it like it's this dealing with this burden. Like, I had to marry this husband to adopt this child. Again, that's distancing language to say this. Okay? It's distancing. I had to adopt Charles. I had to marry Charles in order to get JJ, in order to da-da-da-da. Wow. So you don't really want to be with Charles. You didn't say, the Lord brought Charles into my life. Like Cash talks about Chad. About being blessed. Like the Lord brought someone into my life. No, it's not that. It's a distancing language. She's already in my mind over Charles by the time she's giving this speech, in my opinion. All right, let's move on to the vision she sees in the ceiling room. I believe this is in the temple. So let's listen till Miss Lori tell us about it.
It was one of my husband's aunts come over, and she kissed me on the cheek before she disappeared through the wall. And I'll tell you, I've had people talk to me. I was in the ceiling room with my husband, and they were going through names, and we were sealing these daughters, and all of a sudden I hear this voice super loud. really loud. Don't forget about me. Don't forget about me. Twice. And I look around. I looked at the sealer. I looked at my husband. I'm like, anybody hear that? No? Okay. And
So nobody else heard that. She's either special or she's hallucinating in this sealing room. It's like the haunted mansion, the way she describes it. Like the spirits come in and then they disappear into the walls. That's creepy. And the fact that nobody stopped and got her some mental health and help for her mental health is concerning to me. All right, so about the 17-minute mark of the shorter version that Annie dropped, she's talking about how the Lord is calling people to be into this 144,000. And let's just let her explain it in her own words. In my opinion, she's speaking for the Lord here.
they're very interested in what we're doing right now because this time, the time is now. The Lord is gathering his people. He is calling people to the 144,000. They're already being called. They're already being sent on their missions. They're already going full circle. The time is now. He is coming. He is preparing us. And we promised we would do it. So I was standing there.
Okay, so she's selling this, guys. She's selling this to this group. The Lord is calling the people to the 144,000. So essentially, Lori here is speaking for the Lord. Do you see how she did that? She's now gone in there and got testimony. Now she's speaking for the Lord. They're not going in there and coming out with this 144,000. She is, vouching for what the Lord said to her in the temple, and that's off the books. That's off the LDS books. So she's selling it. And guys, I can't listen to her selling this crap. I'm sorry. But she vacillates between selling it real hard and reverting into the Lord, why did you do this to me, poor me, victim mode.
In this moment, by myself one time, in that first booth, going through doing initiatories, I told the Lord, why would you do this to me? Why? You made me this super sweet person. I'm so sensitive. My whole life, everything hurt my feelings. I was totally sweet and innocent. And I was like, why would you ask me to fight this life and be this?
Guys, I was sweet and innocent. That's past tense. She knows she's no longer sweet and innocent. What has she done by the time this, what has she done that she's no longer sweet and innocent? Because this is before Charles, Tylee, JJ, and her own brother. She goes on to talk about how the Lord has essentially made her one of the strongest warriors, and that she's whining to the Lord about why he's put this extra burden on her to be this warrior princess. She explains what the Lord showed her.
But, and he showed me so that I could never deny it again. I was not sweet, and I was not innocent. I am old. I have fought. I have fought in this war for millennia. And that's who I am. And I came down here to be a warrior and fight. And I only thought that I was sweet and innocent. I am sweet. I am a sweet person.
See, she catches herself there. She's got grandiose statements here. You hear those grandiose statements? One of the strongest warriors. She's grandiose. And then she catches herself. I am sweet. Don't ask my husband. Ha, ha, ha. She's signaling that there's problems in that marriage.
Don't ask my husband, but I am.
Do you hear Melanie Gibb, busting a gut laughing at that shit? In my opinion. Okay, so let's go on to the 20-minute mark. She's just selling her priesthood power here, talking about how, the women are going to be equal. So this is, what's really got her juices flowing, in my opinion. Because, in my opinion, maybe Chad had kind of offered her an equal priesthood power. And this has really got her juices flowing. Or maybe she suggested and he thought it was a good idea, because this woman is gonna be heading this up or a part of this. And by the way, I hate her voice when she's selling this stuff. When she's millennia, all that kind of crap. It's just shut up.
It is going to be back on the earth in fullness. In fullness, the priesthood power, the women and the men together, they are side by side. They are equal in power and glory. Equal. And they're going to come together. Jesus is going to come with his eternal companion and reign. And they are equal together. There's not one more powerful than the other.
Okay. So
women have been protected.
She starts preaching. So then let's go on to where she throws a little shade at Colby. 21-minute mark. She throws a little shade at old Colby. Because, you know, everybody's got to be perfect and do things the way she wants. If not.
Is married now, and his wife isn't a member of the church, and they don't go to church anymore. They go to her church, and that's fine. He loves the Lord, and I know his heart. And I'm in the temple praying for him. Please, Heavenly Father, how do I let that go? He says, you love him. Let me lead him. I got this. I know him. I know him like I know you. And do you know that I know you? Yes, he knows me.
Okay, why is she up in her son's marriage business and where they go to church? Because she says he doesn't go to church, they go to her church. That's church. But he doesn't go to her church, okay? So as I prayed for my son, who is married now, and his wife is a member of church, and they go to her church. So Lori apparently doesn't like, I mean, one could assume that Lori doesn't like Colby's wife and doesn't like maybe that Colby's wife has some control over Colby. You know, he's going to where his wife wants to go. And how do I let this go, God? Why are you micromanaging your son's life, woman? And then she starts talking about vibrations.
He knows everything about me, and he knows everything about you. And everyone's in charge of their own thing. So what I preach to people, what I feel like my mission is you find out the warrior in you. You find out what you came here to this earth to do. You find out what you promised you would do. Because I know we promised that we'd meet each other. I know that we promised that we'd be in this circle. We'd help elevate this vibration. We're in a celestial vibration, but we need to bring it up.
I'm picking up good vibrations. I mean, celestial vibrations, terrestrial vibrations. I mean, come on, lady.
Because time is irrelevant to him. So I was like, how am I going to do that? How am I going to get the laundry done and clean the house and get the kids to their things and do all these things if I go to the temple every day? Because I get caught up in the temple. I could stay in that celestial room my whole life. And one time I was in there all week long for like several hours, and he's like, I need you to just go do some work. Like, you can't just dwell in here all day feeling happy. You have work for you to do.
Even the Lord's sick of her. Oh, God. Yeah, God. So I like when she talks about going to the temple and that the Lord stretches time.
So he's kind of kicked me out of the celestial room one time because I just could just bask in there all day because I feel so happy in there and so heavenly, like that's where I belong. But he stretches time for you. You will be amazed. You will feel more organized. You will feel like time doesn't really apply to you. The day, I get everything done in the day, then I'm like, is it still not bedtime? Can we not go to sleep? He will stretch time for you. Because this is...
Okay, she goes on about how the Lord stretches time when you go into the temple. Again, this is more mental illness, in my opinion. I mean, this tenor of this entire manic conversation, and she becomes more manic in her presentation as she starts preaching. And I've heard this kind of thing before with people who binge on drugs. I'm not saying she's binging on drugs, but that sort of a manic talk where they're chattering and they're all tick, 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 tick. It's a kind of a grandiose chatter, and it just comes off as mania. It's crazy. The Lord doesn't bend time for you going to church or going to the temple or going to a mosque. He might reorder your priorities of your time management, but he doesn't bend time. And then she rounds this off of what Annie shared with us, asking, what you can give the Lord. And she actually opens this question up in a way, and so she gets a few answers. Let's listen.
The more you
sacrifice your time, which is the only thing you can give him on this earth. What else can you give to the Lord? What can you give him? Will. You could give him your will. I love that. And you'd have to. But you can give him your time. And your love. And your love.
See, someone says love.
All your love. Because when he fills you with his love, and you can exude his love, I always told him, I was like, I just want to walk down the road and have your love just exude off of me. And I want...
When you saw her walking down the road, guys, when she was in Hawaii and she was being dogged by reporters, was love exuding off of her? You know, I think that when she asks, what can you give the Lord? It's almost like a sacrifice. That's what you can give the Lord. I don't know. This is very messed up. This audio was terribly disturbing, shocking. The killing was the most shocking to me. The comment about the killing. That's hands down. And then second to that, to me, on the shocker factor, was the fact that she told essentially a bishop allegedly that, and nothing obviously came of it. And the third shocker is that she has people sitting around that aren't pulling her to the side. You know, I call people out, but pull her to the side after and talk to her about this is an unwell woman. So what did you think about this audio? Is it not crazy? Please leave your comments below. I would love to chit chat about it. And big thanks to Annie for dropping this. I really do appreciate it. It gives us an idea of what Lori's mindset was at that time. And so, again, if you haven't liked it, please like this video and subscribe if you like this kind of stuff. And without further ado, have an excellent day.